sometimes people have what it takes, but they haven't recognized it yet. Just go forward. Welcome to Hello, everyone.
How do you stand out?
What you need to do is be that person that's different and is bigger than you think. Of our
Rise from the ashes and fly like
technically day 3, 4, and 5 of how to speak in public. Overcoming some fears from public speaking, the power of public speaking. Because ultimately, ladies and gentlemen, you've got a message that you need to get out there. You've got to market in one way or another to get in front of your audience. Truthfully, this day and age, video is the best way to do it. That may scare the hell out of some of you. My first response to that is get over it. My second response to that is if you absolutely can't do it, work into it slowly or set it aside. But I mean, there's possibilities where you can go, there's different AI programs where you can pull up and they can do it for you. But that costs money. This is something you can do for free. You don't need a fancy setup. You don't need a fancy microphone. You can do it from your phone. Okay. So day 1 and 2, part of this program, part of what we're doing, you're practicing with the Gettysburg Address. And so what you're going to do is look up the Gettysburg Address or Martin Luther King Jr.'s I Had a Dream speech. Or if you're outside the U.S. and you've got somebody else that you really admire, you can use somebody else's speech. I recommend not going too far back. Don't get into Shakespeare or Macbeth, and going off in Hamlet, to be or not to be. That is the question, whether 'tis nobler in the minds to suffer the slings and arrows of outrageous fortune and blah, blah, blah. That's not what we're trying to do because it just doesn't flow the same way. We want something that can flow in natural speech. Plays, more often than not, are not written as natural speech, right? There is a certain, what's the meter at which they're spoken, right? Whatever the correct word is. Some of you guys in theater may understand what I mean. Anyway, pick one of those speeches. Day 1, first exercise for the first part of the challenge is to write down your fears and to visualize success. So on one piece of paper, split it down the middle, fears on the left, successes on the right, visualizing specifically, not just, I gave a good speech, things went well, I was able to speak clearly. Talk about and write out how you feel, the emotions, the atmosphere, what's going through your mind, the applause, people standing up, the reception that you get, people's response to what you're doing, short-term, long-term, the credibility increases, traffic increases to your website, all of that stuff. Think about that. So that's day 1, fears and successes. Day 2 is to work on your delivery. We're working on day 2. We're adding a little bit of spice to it. We are speeding things up. We're slowing it down. And we're working on our tone, louder and softer. So what you're going to do is pick up Gettysburg Address, and you're going to read it and read it normally and time it. How many of you actually did any of this yesterday? Hopefully somebody. Wow. Guys, get your together. Let's do this. Some of you guys will take this seriously and actually become amazing speakers and coaches. It's in your hands. You've got the opportunity to do it. And I promise these things work with practice. So read it, time it. Then you're going to read it again. You're going to slow yourself down purposely at some points throughout it. Okay, speed up a little, slow it down. Hopefully the second time you read it's a little bit slower. You're going to do it a third time. And if you have to, even a fourth time where you are slowing it down even more. You want to get it so it takes longer to get through it. Typically people have a bit of, they roll through quickly because they're a little nervous on it. So you want to kind of work on that. Good. Some of you guys did parts of it. So that's great. Awesome. Okay. Next, day 3. All right, so day 1 and 2, and again, when this is over, I'm just going to give you guys days 1 through 5. Day 3, your success factor, guys, is going off script, taking it and not being perfect with it. So you ever seen a public speaker we've seen it a lot, especially in the last few years because of teleprompters and politicians. Love him, hate him, left side, right side, middle of the aisle, I don't care. Right now in the United States, we have a man that is in as president that struggles giving speeches. He struggles even more, it seems, sometimes with the teleprompter, right? And I'm not getting into all of the arguments that are out there on both sides. The simple fact of the matter is he's not a great orator, and that's okay, right? I think it's surprising after this many years in a position, in a job where that's exactly what he does, but this is something that you guys can avoid, you can learn, you can do, right? Going off script is important because you don't want to sound robotic. You don't want to sound, we talked about monotone before, but you don't want to sound stiff and wooden. You don't want to appear like that robot. It can be painful. So it's critical you learn to go off script a little bit. So how do you do that? First, it comes down to memorizing key concepts. You don't have to memorize the whole thing. Oftentimes, memorizing a whole speech can be negative for you until you become really adept at the whole thing. Because what happens a lot of times, if you try and memorize the whole thing and there's a moment where maybe you're reading and you miss a line, or you just inherently blurt something else out going off script a little bit, and then you're scrambling to go back to it. And then it's like you go back 2 sentences to reiterate your point, but really all you've done is, it's obvious that you're incapable of going off script. So what you want to do is memorize key concepts. So most people that learn to go off script become more natural and powerful as public speakers. So first thing you want to do, take the Gettysburg Address, and you're going to determine what the main points are. Create kind of an outline, bullet points, however you do it in order to organize. Some of you, when you study and you organize and you create outlines, you write the whole thing. How many of you, when you studied and you highlight a notebook or your textbook, would highlight like whole paragraphs? That's not what we're doing. That's not a key concept. That's, the whole thing. Well, then just don't highlight anything. Read the whole damn chapter. It doesn't do you any good. What you want to do is just look for the key concepts, right? The key elements. Cool thing about this, and this is why occasionally the question, why is someone going to listen to me versus someone else? Because if we put the Gettysburg Address in front of every single one of you, and I ask you to take the key points out and say, I want you to pick the 5 or 10 key points and put them on bullet points, there's a very good chance that at least half of those are going to be different from one person to another. The elements that are important to you and the key components that you are going to emphasize are going to be different than other people. And that's great because some people are going to resonate with that. And that's why I can say something and Catalina can say something and someone's going to listen to her and other people are going to listen to me, right? So your key points, this is for you, all right? So next, you want to boil each of those parts down to its very essence. So we're not 2, 3, 4 lines. You want the very essence. So you want to have a blank piece of paper. You want to write this down. Only the overarching ideas should be on the paper, not the entire script, not the entire speech. And then you want to practice delivering the whole address, either to Gettysburg or Martin Luther or one other speech. You guys pick the one that's good for you, only from the big ideas in front of you. Don't cheat by looking at the entire speech, just what's in front of you, okay? Doing this over and over and over is going to help you become a little more comfortable speaking off the cuff, as opposed to having word for word manuscript. You're going to stumble. You're going to sound foolish. You're going to feel uncomfortable. It's not going to feel great. Do it anyway. Go through it a few times. Keep doing it. If you want to work on your script that you have for the masterclass video, the script for the video sales letter, whatever it is, you can do that too. Okay. So that's day 3. Day 4, guys, we're going to eliminate the garbage and the filler words. The basically, really, kind of, know what I mean? We use those too much. We all do. I know that I do. This is at the point where slowing down your manner of speech and speeding things up, slowing it down, raising your voice, lowering your voice can help you eliminate the filler words because it gives you an opportunity to speak a little bit longer before you dive into your next sentence. You know what I mean? Like so that you start to avoid those. Okay. It's totally understandable. It's hard to read from a script. It's hard, especially if you're trying to go a little off the cuff and these words then find their way in. T. Harv is really good at that. You talking about T. Harv Eker? Yeah. So here's the thing. They make you seem unprofessional and amateurish. They really do. Those who don't use filler words often, they seem more smooth and polished, like they know what they're talking about. It raises your level of credibility right away. If you can eliminate those from your speech, it's instantly going to give you a credibility boost. So your practice, take out the primary ideas. You've got your key elements, your outline from day 3, from speaking off the cuff, not following exactly the script. We've got our key elements. Now what we're going to do is open up our voice recorder on our phone, or you can download, there's different apps that you can do that with as well. But you're going to do a voice recorder and you're going to speak off the cuff again using your bullet points, using your key elements that you've done, just glancing at the main concepts. You're going to go back and forth. And now you're going to go look at how many filler words you used. You're going to count them. You're going to listen again and count how many filler words you used. You're probably going to be surprised how many are there. And be honest with yourself. You'll notice a word that you use just to fill in the gap. So pay attention, count them, do it again, record it again, count them again. Hopefully you've got less. Do it a third time, do it a fourth time. Repeat this until you can cut them in half. So if the first time you get 20, keep going until you're down to 10 or even more. It really boils down to practice. So day 3, speaking off the cuff. Day 4, we're eliminating filler words. Day 5, it's time to go public, ladies and gentlemen. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, now it's time to get yourself out there. Do it in front of friends or family. Do it from a stage, or simply pick up your phone and go live, preferably on Facebook or Instagram. Use it and then post it. Okay, it's one thing to know how to confront your fears. It is a totally different thing to actually doing it. So pinpoint your fears. Think about those successes. Visualize you having some success. You're going to vary your speed and tone. You can do this with bullet points, so you're going to go off script a little bit. So this is where we're no longer using the Gettysburg Address. We want to hit on some key points, whatever topic you want to talk about. Talk about learning to speak in public. Here's some key things that I learned and I'm practicing. Here's something that you can do. The knowledge isn't going to help you guys until you practice it. Education and execution. Too many times we get caught in education and we wallow in this world, this pit of endless learning. Knowledge is great. Knowledge without action is useless. We all know people like that, sitting around at a dinner party or hanging out with friends that are full of all sorts of intelligence that have never done shit with their lives. Right? So, practice makes perfect. 3 quick examples. You can record a video of yourself. Do it that way. Now, if you are practicing for actual public speaking, you might want to stand up when you do this, but nowadays, sitting like this is fine. Holding your phone is fine. If you've got a tripod, that's great, but you can go with that. Next, you want to deliver the speech in front of family and friends. Okay. Next step is to deliver it that way. Or if you really want to level up, then you can join a speaking club, Toastmasters, B&I, do something. I know some of you guys have done that. Chambers of Commerce occasionally, Rotary Club. Find somewhere that forces you to speak. There's chapters all over the world of a lot of these different places. They're all pretty fantastic, but they're non-threatening. But you can also just pick up your phone and start talking. The key is to practice. Okay. So day 3 is what you guys are starting. If you haven't done it yet, go back to day 1. You got your fears and visualizing success. Day 2 is practicing your tone and speed, your delivery, in other words. Day 3 is speaking off the cuff. So you're going to write out your key elements and you're going to speak off the cuff. Day 4 is eliminating the filler words. And day 5 is actually doing something. And you're right. Forrest is talking about at the beginning, you're going to suck. Guys, first time for everything. Just do it and keep practicing over and over and over again. So for those of you that actually complete this, so I'm not going to, just for showing up, I'm not going to give it to you. I want to see you guys actually do something. So message me and give me some kind of like, hey, I tried this. This is what went great. This is where I kind of stumbled, but I learned it. This is, here's a recording, whatever it is. Show me that you actually did something with the challenge. And then as soon as the videos are done getting edited by my guy, I will give you access to all 5 of those videos. It's really going to be a replay of what's here, but can't hurt to have them. And it could just be something. Sometimes people have what it takes, but they haven't recognized it. Just go forward. So what do you need to do? How do you stand out? So what you need to do is be that person that's different and is bigger than you think. Rise from the ashes and fly like the phoenix.